I just want to talk about a really, really controversial topic that's going on right now.
Yes, you're right, yes.
We're talking about the racism that's going on with the cops, particularly the shooting that happened with Jacob. And y'all know what I'm talking about. First of all, there's no reason to shoot an unarmed man 7 times in the back when he's just trying to hop in his car. There's no reason to do that.
Here's what I'll say on the matter, because you had people who are saying, well, the cops was telling him, freeze, stop, giving him instructions, and he just ignored the cop and went to his car. I can agree with that, especially with him having his kids in the vehicle. I can agree with that. But at what point does de-escalation come into play? You could have tased them that close. You could have shot him in the leg or shoulder, but 7 times
in the back.
That's intent to kill.
Exactly.
Like, that's intent to kill to me. Like, that's ridiculous.
And for those who don't know, criminals included, the intent to kill line is above the waist.
Yep.
Anything below the waist,
yep,
doesn't count as intent to kill.
And people will say, well, the officer could have feared for his life or whatever.
Fear from what?
That's fine and dandy that the officer could have feared for his life, but for you to shoot 7 times.
Let me put it in this perspective, okay? England, if you ever go to England, their cops don't carry guns. They're trained in hand-to-hand combat. The only people that carry guns are detectives at Scotland Yard. If you ever go to England and you stop a cop, they have a baton and they have a stun weapon. That's the most they carry. If the stun weapon doesn't happen, trust and believe, you're getting beat.
I did not know that. Learn something new every day.
That's a fact. So for you to tell me that a country like England, who barely trains their officers in combat like that, I'll tell you that right now. Their officers are trained, but they're not trained as well as American officers in hand-to-hand combat. For you to tell me a country, England, can police their entire country without holding guns to a lot of officers, and you have America, which has a lot more police training. We're talking, when you go to police academy, one of the main courses you're taking is close combat before you even touch a firearm.
That's true.
That's a fact. You have to complete a physical close combat course. So it doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah.
Especially when he had a baton on his side of his belt. You didn't have to pull a gun. You could have pulled a baton.
And the thing is like, by law, like, if you don't have a weapon, the officer's supposed to holster their weapon.
Exactly.
Like, if a cop tell you to freeze and you got your hands up and you just take off running, they're not supposed to fire their weapon. They're supposed to holster their weapon and chase you to catch you.
Exactly.
And the problem, where the disparity is you got a lot of blacks that are dying and getting shot, but then you got, the white counterpart who's shooting up churches, or even at the recent protest where you had the white gentleman that had a gun and shot 2 people and injured. And when the cops came up, he's walking up to the cops with his hands up. They tell him to go home. If a black person was in that rally walking to a cop with a gun, hands up even, you don't think they would have shot that man?
But that also refers...
You don't think they would have shot that man?
It also refers to the racism of the police force.
Yeah.
And this goes back way back. Way before, actually most people don't even know, the first black officer on an actual police force was in Colorado. Most people don't know that. So
I didn't.
that's something that, y'all should check out. He's a cool brother, But anyway, the racism on the police force is serious. It's been a lot of officers who've made detective, who've stayed on, who've been racist. You know what I'm saying? And then they look at people of color people of different ethnicities just below them. And that's also due to the president as well, spending his message of racism and trying to destroy the country as it be. And what people fail to realize is that a majority of this country is minorities. A majority of the country's main infrastructure are run by minorities. They might answer to a white boss, but if we decide to walk out of the power plants, guess what we're not gonna have?
If minorities, if every minority in the country literally said, we're not gonna purchase anything for the next 2 days.
Oh, I can tell you right now.
The economy would crash. Like the economy would crash.
It wouldn't even crash. We would be in the equivalent of about 20 years worth of debt ahead of 20 years.
Yeah.
That's how bad it would be. It would be called what they call a fire sale. And for those who don't know of what a fire sale is, it's when a government completely has to shut down because their infrastructure, their money infrastructure, is going completely to the negative. I'm talking the stocks and bonds, completely negative. I'm talking Federal Reserves. The money that's in there, completely worthless. You know what I'm saying? And it's a very rare term, and it's been used before. Y'all remember the Great Depression? I know y'all read about it.
Oh yeah.
That was considered a fire sale because credit came out, nobody was paying on credit, a lot of money was owed. Great Depression started. So y'all, you have to sit and realize that as a people, a unified people, we have the power. We have the power if we say, let's just all not buy anything today. Do you know how much these white politicians, these people who think white people are the prime of America, you know what I'm saying, would suffer? Take, for example, McDonald's.
Yeah.
If everybody didn't buy McDonald's, nobody showed up to work for McDonald's, McDonald's would lose about $1 billion each hour.
What restaurant was that I think they fired a black person and like a person I was working there, and something that was where they were saying don't buy from this restaurant. Was it Wendy's or I remember reading something about that. I'm gonna have to check it out, but it was this particular restaurant chain that people protested not to buy their item, and then they sent out a apology quick. I'm gonna have to look that up and see, but yeah, it was a restaurant that they lost a lot of money too.
A lot of money.
Yeah.
I believe it was Wendy's.
I think it was Wendy's.
I believe it was Wendy's.
I don't remember.
But they took a significant hit.
Yeah, they definitely did.
They took a significant hit. But like I said, it's up to us as a people. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I applaud the NBA stars.
Yeah,
I applaud them.
I
applaud them.
See, with the NBA though, when it first happened, and I was one of the people who are why everybody got to go to work, so why are they just not going to work or whatever? Granted, I understand the magnitude of it, but I was like, why are y'all gonna cancel games? I didn't realize even though the NBA did a lot, you still can do more, because at the end of the day, it's like the NBA players, they're asked to go out there and play, stay away from their families, whatever. Granted, they get paid handsomely for it, but NBA players don't really ask the league to do much. But the one thing that they're asking them to do is to try and do more for the Black Lives Matter movement. And LeBron James, yes, he got money and everything like that, but you think he's going to be able to sit at a table with billionaires? He's not in their league. That's why the owners, they're billionaires, so they can sit at a table with other billionaires, politicians, whatever. So it's their whole process was, call the legislators because you're cool with them. Call the people you need to try and pass the right laws in place.
Exactly. And I applaud them because they did the one thing that most people here in our country, our beautiful country, are refusing to do. They hurt their pockets.
Yes. And granted, the NBA has nothing to do with, because I always use this analogy. It's kind of like you go to work, right? Your boss pissed you off. So now when you come home, you take it. You're pissed off at your boss at work. So when you come home, you take it out on your old lady and the kids, and they're like, "Yo, like, why are you mad?" "Yeah, because my boss at work." It's like, okay, let us try and do something to make you feel better.
Exactly.
So they make your favorite food, your dessert, whatever, you eat it, and you're like, that's still not enough, whatever. You still take it out on them. At the end of the day, they're like, yo, I'm not the one that pissed you off, but I'm still doing what I can, to help. So that's the way I was looking at it. But now, the better analogy would be your significant other's cousin is your boss. You get what I'm saying? So you have a direct line where you can go to your cousin and try and make my situation better.
Exactly.
Because you have ties. And that's the same thing. The billionaires, these owners, they have ties to the legislators.
Exactly.
So, put in the call to your man and make things better for us.
Because what most people fail to realize is that all those fancy stadiums, those basketball stadiums and stuff, they're still properties. The land itself is still owned by the state. Now ask yourself this. Normally when you buy a property, you pay state taxes on it, right? Mm-hmm. Why don't they pay state taxes on those stadiums?
Yep. Very
good question.
Yep.
Because they're very good friends with politicians.
Yep. So no politicians isn't gonna fix it for us. We as a people gotta make the change, because no politician is gonna change things for the better for us.
Exactly.
Us as the people gotta make the change to make things better.
And you have to strive to do better.
Yeah.
You have to. Yeah. You have to, because the world is big, but it's also small.
Yeah, very.
It's big in the sense of you could go a lot of places and still not visit all of them in your lifetime. But it's small in the sense that you'll always be around human beings, no matter where you go.
Yep.
You might not know them, but at some point in time, you'll have to interact with them. So just remember, the world is big, but it's also small.
Yes, it is. That's why I always say, careful with the person who you mean to or whatever, because that might be the cheeks you got to kiss later down in life somewhere.
Never ever forget.
Yep.
Treat every person fair.
Yep.
At the end of the day, you never know who might that person turn out to be. You know what I'm saying? They might end up being your boss.
Yeah, exactly. Are you going for an interview for a job that you really wanted, and guess who's at the interview? the person in traffic. Hey, kiss my.
Matter of fact, I'll do one better. I'll give you guys a prime example. So I went to school with this guy in college, and I'm not gonna name his name, just because I don't want to embarrass him that much. But he used to be a little bit mean to me or whatever in college or whatever. I've never paid it any mind, because I'm the type of person like I just let things go, whatever. So turns out he applies for my moving company. By the way, I own 2 businesses. So anyway, he applies for my moving company. So I look at the application and I'm like, oh, okay. Now this is the funny part.
Karma.
He walks into the room, sits down, and I had the secretary sit down with him, and he was talking to her and stuff, and he was like, are you the one giving my interview? And she was like, no, but one second, the boss will be in here in a second to do your interview for you. And I kid you not, the face he had on
priceless
was so priceless.
Oh, I wish I could have witnessed that.
If it wasn't for the fact I could go to jail, I would tag the footage of the camera in my office at the end of this video.
Oh man, that's wonderful.
Priceless.
Oh man, yeah, I could imagine. So yeah, try and stay level-headed, and try and be nice to everybody. Love thy neighbor.
Yep.
Love thy neighbor. All right.
That'll do it for this episode.
Yep. So tune into the next one, and I hope you enjoyed everything we discussed. I hope you learned something and looked at things from a different perspective. And we'll see you on the next one.
And y'all stay blessed.
Peace.